See?
Okay. We were all set.
Yep, Kayla's coming in by.
All right, thanks.
Oh, Kayla.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello, Kayla.
We can hear you, can't see you, but
I think that's her.
I don't think you want to see me today.
That's her idea. She doesn't
we
want
always
us
want to see you. But anyway, it is what it is. Is that nobody heard anything?
I have not heard anything
Okay.
about it. Have you, Kayla?
She zoomed last time, so.
Yeah.
I had not heard back. I was under the impression that she was going to be zooming in tonight, but she didn't respond to the email that I sent with the packets, so I'm not 100% sure.
So, just to be sure, 2 out of 3 is a quorum, yes?
Yes, because there's only 3 on the board.
Yeah, I just wanted to make, I knew that, but I thought I knew it. I just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, we might as well open the meeting. It's after 5.
Yeah.
I think if she was gonna be here. Open this regular meeting of the Rangeley Ordinance Committee at 5:04 on October 21st, 2020. And the first thing is pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Adjustments to the agenda?
None.
No? Review of the minutes, October 7th?
Ooh, do you have a copy of the minutes?
That's okay.
I don't
No.
think so.
We can do it next time or whenever we get it. It's not a big deal.
I do
Correspondence?
have them ready. I apologize.
Yeah, that's okay. No big deal. That happens in selectmen's meetings too, so. Correspondence?
None.
Nada. Continuing business, the dreaded chapter 38 going. What's going on? Are they trying to repeal or remove all this stuff with the crossed out lines?
So that's stuff that's gone back and forth. All the red is things that have been added or adjusted. Yes, the stuff that struck was removed for whatever
Who
reason.
decided what should be removed?
So I think that there's a color coding. So the blue is from Shelley with Avcog. The red, I believe, is Tom's
Okay,
changes. Yeah, I don't know if there's any other colors that are changes.
Well, there's a bunch of comments, like
Yeah, the comments, the
green and pink. and-
The
Yeah.
pink is Tom, the blue is Shelley with Avcog, the green is Kristen, the town attorney.
okay,
I don't know if there's any other ones.
okay. So at least the lighting one they commented on, they want a new ordinance totally, I guess.
Yeah, so
A
lighting, they talked about removing it. I don't know if we wanna make lighting its own chapter. I spoke about it with Joe today, Joe and Tracy, and I think we wanna keep it as part of chapter 38. So we're gonna push off until June, the actual wording of that section, but we will reserve a section for lighting in this for
Okay.
March. So
Okay.
that the numbering doesn't have to get changed all again.
Yeah, because,
That's the hardest part, is the
I know.
numbering. Another one that's gonna get added, I have some adjustments to make and go over with Shelley before that will go to the planning board, and then I'll give you guys those adjustments for the
Okay.
next
Okay.
ordinance committee meeting. We're gonna be adding a reserved section for alternative energy and solar.
Mhm.
And it looks like in 2016, they had started working on something for cell towers.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
that might be another reserved section to go over for June.
I thought that was done.
Well, we have one, kind of. Oh, did we do one?
It's in the comprehensive plan.
That was
I
it.
don't believe it's in chapter 38 at all right now.
Okay. But at one point, we had looked at a standalone for
Ordinance.
windmills, whatever.
that's gonna be part of the alternative energy, so I think I don't know about exact wording, I'm gonna work with the town attorney to make sure we're covering ourselves with wording. If it's gonna be alternative energy because we wanna cover solar, wind, geothermal. And in our definition, we're gonna describe it to cover any future innovations to go to the planning board. So that there's some type of review, so
Right.
people aren't finding loopholes.
Yeah, well, the thing is, especially with the wind mills, there's nowhere in Rangeley actually that you would want to put one.
Probably.
It's all on a plantation. You know, all the mountains around here are not in Rangeley.
Right.
So, but cell towers are a whole nother story.
Mhm.
And we don't have a cell tower. I thought we looked at one.
I thought we had one, but
Yeah,
Right now, they fall under, in the land use table, they fall under essential service. I don't know if it's essential services, but there is federal regulations that we have to follow. We can only restrict
Right.
the size and the appearance of them. We can't restrict them being put on
okay.
property in the town. We
So,
can't prevent them from going anywhere in the town.
so we can say they have to look like a pine tree, but
We can, like, color of paint, how reflective they are, how big they are things that we can restrict.
so that's a rule.
It's a I don't have the actual copy of the federal rules. That's something that I'm going to get.
Because
And we're
they
gonna
turned
reserve
one
that
down
for
in
June.
Dallas.
Really?
They voted on
yeah.
Yeah.
There's been attempts to put one in, I
Down
thought it was Ranger Plantation or Sand River Plantation, down as you, with Beaver Pond or whatever that, because there's a hill in there that kind of blocks everything, and they looked at putting one in, which would give us coverage going down Route 4, and the folks there said, no way.
it. They also looked on Dallas Hill too,
Right, yeah, there's another one.
and that was voted down. So maybe,
We'll just put one on Saddleback.
so
Well, we
what,
have a proposed one on Bald Mountain
okay.
right now for AT&T in the same location as where there's already one. I believe it's Bald Mountain. Maybe it's not Bald
You
Mountain.
know, US Cellular's been trying to make their towers 60 feet higher, and I guess they were having a problem with it, so I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, so that's something that will come into that.
Okay.
I'll do some more research on that.
Hopefully. So what your understanding is that we can't stop them from putting it up, but we can control what it looks like, kind of?
Yeah, that's my understanding from a brief conversation with the town attorney.
Okay.
That that was just based on her knowledge in the back of her mind about it.
Okay.
I'll have to find
So
an
it doesn't have to
actual.
be a big shiny ball.
So theoretically, if that's true, then we can't tell them how high it has to be or any of that stuff?
I'm not sure about
Okay.
that.
That would be.
I think we can, the one, what's written, I have this draft copy and there was one that had some notes from Tom on it about maybe some exceptions about height, but I haven't fully read through this yet.
I should think depending on
Good.
where it's gonna be located, height become a factor, like near an airport, for instance. You can't impede upon the fly zone and things of that nature, so
Oh.
there have to be some.
Up at Brian and Priscilla's, town didn't even have anything to do with it. They just showed up and put it up one day. Kinda. I mean,
Well,
there
that's
was
gonna be
no,
something, we're gonna reserve that for June, just because there's a lot of stuff to go through with that.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. What do we got here?
A lot of this stuff in the table of contents is just rearranging, so things that have been struck, they
Yeah.
may have been moved to a different section.
Okay,
Because a lot of what Tom had looked at doing was getting all the shoreline stuff in one area.
they basically codified the thing and made it more sense.
So what exactly are we being asked to do as an ordinance committee with this thing?
Any review, any notes that you guys may have about wording in the changes to bring back to the planning board if they have suggestions to go back to the town attorney and to AdCog, because we have a contract with them
Okay,
to go to complete chapter 38 and all these adjustments.
So what you're saying is that most of these crossouts are just, they moved them somewhere else, kind of.
Some of them, I don't know, I'll have to talk to Shelley about, I don't know if maybe that's the difference between the red and the blue is if they were moved or if they were just completely brand new added in.
Yeah, because when you cross it out, to me, cross out means it's gone, or it wants to be gone.
Right.
That's like a lot. So I'm assuming they must have moved this stuff, because they wouldn't take it away. I mean, this is important stuff.
Well, you look at all, like on page 3802, and from the
Yeah,
0.9 all the way down to 0.21, you look at Article 38.9, and that's where you put it all. You just shifted it all down, made its own section instead of being a subsection underneath whatever that was, performance standards, it's now.
but they definitely want a lighting ordinance, a separate lighting ordinance written, is that?
It's gonna be its own article in chapter 38 for lighting.
Okay, and who's gonna write it?
I'm going to work with Adcock to
Okay.
write that, and
Cool.
also the dark skies.
Because I know before I got done the selection, I got a call from a couple of people that are concerned about the lighting on the lake.
Yeah, I'm
I'm like,
working
wow.
with the dark skies group with the Ranger Lakes Heritage Trust. They're looking at getting us certified as a dark sky region.
Were they specific? I mean, she wasn't to me on the phone. She just was like worried we were gonna let people put.
That might be a different concern than the dark skies,
Okay.
but the dark sky, working with the dark skies will cover things like that.
Because we have a lighting. I mean, we made Bob put down shining lights at the IGA when he built the thing. 'Cause people on the lake were freaking, you know, they were like, oh my God, what are you gonna do? Blah, blah, blah. So.
I believe that was one thing in here that they had removed was the existing lighting.
Yeah,
They had completely taken it out, but what we're gonna wanna do is just reword it to fit in. And I've reached out and I had a meeting with David Miller this morning
Yep.
concerning dark skies and got some information from someone who's been doing a lot of research for them. So I'm gonna be working with her a little bit to find towns who have implemented lighting
Okay.
ordinances regarding the dark skies,
okay,
so we can go from there.
okay.
But again, lighting is gonna get pushed off till June, because that's another one that needs a lot of research.
Yeah. Well, cool. Oh,
And mooring as well, mooring is its own separate chapter, and
Yeah.
that's gonna get pushed off until June.
Yeah.
Cause who's mooring before June anyway, right?
yeah, it was, honestly,
Well, that was a nice
they
short one.
scratched it out here somewhere. Did I see that?
Mooring is, chapter 12.
Maybe not. Okay.
It's just not labeled, it's 38.12, definitions, construction of language indefinite, but it doesn't have any title on it.
Yeah. Huh. You can't cross out the Marvin animal, you can't do that, can't do that, okay. So we're responsible basically for writing the lighting ordinance and the, and bring that,
More than,
yeah, the mooring ordinance. And we do have one, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And they just want to tweak it, right? What they said about the 5-foot setback and the 50 feet and all that stuff.
well, none of that-
Because I know that's not in.
none of that's listed in, at least the one they gave us.
No, it wouldn't be. I don't think.
Right, and that's gonna be going back to, planning board again to get suggestions for like defined
Yeah,
distances.
well, I noticed, I was reading, I had a copy of it, or I don't know, anyway. And there is a thing in there that you can't put it out there without your neighbor's
Yeah,
permission.
Right.
And that's like,
that's not being followed
that's
because,
pretty dumb. So that's why the
That's one
5-foot
thing-
setback,
right, that's one thing that we were looking at, changing that.
yeah, that needs to go. I don't know how it ever stayed in there, but
I mean, no one's following it
I
anyway.
mean, it's like, you can't control what people do on their own property. So, but they're gonna have a site that's it's like 20 feet from your house.
I think that was to prevent, hopefully to prevent people from putting too many moorings out, but by changing the mooring ordinance and having a permitting process, we're gonna prevent a lot of
Yeah,
that.
because there was supposed to be a permit. I mean, if you read the ordinance, they're supposed to have a little sticker on there so that they can see that they've gotten to the town, code enforcement officers. They just want to know about it more than anything. I mean, they're not out there looking to bust people, but they want to know what moorings and where. And
And that means that I might get a boat. Right? How am I gonna check them?
we actually have a boat.
Got a canoe you can use.
Yeah, you'd be out
Think
there
of
all
the
day.
exercise.
Wasn't that a bad thing? Bring lunch and canoe around all day, but yeah, fire department has a boat. And when Larry lets us use the boat all day long. But anyway,
I mean, is this the mooring ordinance that currently is in place? 'Cause
Yes.
It
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
I was looking through it, it doesn't mention setbacks, things. Like
No, we
it
don't.
doesn't, that's why we're putting it in. What it does say is that you can't put a mooring out and let your neighbor says it's okay.
That's what I was looking through
It's
here.
in there. Somewhere. I think, yes. That's why they went to the 5 feet. They can't tell you what to do, but you're not right on the property line. I think that was the deal. But anyway. So that doesn't need to be totally rewritten, they just want to.
Oh, I see, without explicit consent of the owner of the adjacent shorefront property, yeah,
That makes no sense.
that's a problem.
It was probably on the board when we wrote it. Why that is. I got a feeling I know it. Anyway. Rob Welch. Okay.
Yeah, I think if you just put some setbacks in there, I mean,
Yep.
It's gonna be a pretty simple change.
are they, just a question, I was looking at this one. And the way this is, no person may moor, anchor, or otherwise affix or secure any boat or any other floating object. I mean, according to this, I can't put out a raft in front of my property without my neighbor's permission because that's a fixed object. That's how this is interpreted. So I'm putting out a boat for my kids or grandkids to swim off of. The way this reads now, I have to have my neighbor's permission, and if we're feuding with one another.
Yeah.
No. So,
Well, yeah, if you had a floating dock, a swim dock, and you want to tie your boat up.
yeah, that's,
Just sort of not, that needs to go.
it probably hasn't been followed, but if somebody wanted to
Yeah.
really be a real stick about it, then it would be, problematic.
And I think the 5-foot thing would be okay there too, with the
They're-
swim
they're-
raft,
They're talking about 5 feet or 10 feet from
From
property
the property
lines.
lines.
for a
Yeah.
swim raft. Or
For
mooring.
for any mooring, yeah.
Anymore. No,
The
but
swim
they,
raft isn't really a mooring to me.
no, but I mean, they do, but there's a conflict here. What I'm saying
Yeah.
is. In Article 12.3, no person may anchor, no person may moor, anchor, or otherwise affix or secure any boat or any other floating object within a mooring control area. Okay, so that's very general.
Yeah.
You go over to definitions, a mooring, a device for securing a boat or other floating object.
Sure.
So it's not just about boats here.
Well, the way
floating
that,
object, there it is.
the way that's worded, it sounds like the swim dock is tied to a mooring. Kind of.
Right.
Well, you do,
I
I mean,
think-
you
I
put
think-
it.
Yeah,
you
but
put
that's
it-
not how you do it.
No, but the way this says is, may secure a boat or other float usually by means of a chain or cable attached to an anchor. And that's how you put a swim dock in, or a fixed, that's what I'm saying, that's the way this is written right now.
Maybe there needs to be some wordage in there for swim docks being separate from moorings.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying, mooring, usually when I think of a mooring, it's
The
a
boat.
boat,
Right,
so are we separating anchoring from mooring, for instance?
yes.
A person, I'm out fishing. And I'm only I'm probably within that 200-foot zone, there's more along the shore. And I suddenly hit a great spot. I dropped the anchor to fish there for a few minutes. Am I now considered to be
No.
moored there?
No, you can do that.
Well,
Right.
I understand, but again, if I'm gonna be,
That word.
I'm gonna be a legalist because of the way this thing is written. That's my point, is that It has to be written in such a way as to be very explicit and not create
Right. A problem.
a
where there isn't
problem
one.
where there isn't one, you
Right.
know.
Well, that was.
Would it
one-
happen?
Yeah.
No, somebody might be wondering enough to.
I will tell you that when we first, years ago, when we first looked at this, we had complaints from people that were saying, well, guys are pulling up and they're throwing an anchor off in front of my house and they're fishing.
Right.
And then they're leaving. I said, well, as long as they're leaving, you know, you can't do that. The water belongs to the state of Maine, not you. So.
Right, and that was my question, you know.
And you can throw an anchor. out. It's
But I
not
understand
permanent.
that, if you get your family and you're swimming on a swim dock and they come along, you know, so that's what I'm saying, there may have to be
I
some.
believe that
Mooring.
part of it is that in our 200-foot control area, you aren't supposed to be anchored. You're
Right.
supposed to be at a mooring or a dock.
But
Like I said, I'm not talking about fishing, you know, it's not a
Yeah.
permanent thing,
Right.
you know, but again, I want to make sure that we account for the uses of our lake and we don't create a problem.
Right.
That, you know, people, well, how do they do this, you know? What is the issue we're trying to address?
Right.
It's someone permanently affixing, you know, a boat and, so that's really where it needs to go.
I mean, you see on TV fishing shows and stuff, and these guys are pulling right up to their docks and fishing underneath them. You know, they don't.
I'm not gonna do that here, but yeah.
Yeah, we don't do that because we're on bass,
Right.
but, you know, same principle. I mean, the state owns the water, so. And, you know, I don't consider throwing an anchor out for 15, 20 minutes.
I don't either, but again, I'm looking at how this is worded and someone's gonna take a
Most
literal technical interpretation of this.
moorings are permanent. The cement part that's holding it, that doesn't come out of the line dome anyway. And they're attached to a chain, you unhook the chain, tie a rope to it and let it down.
I think
The actual mooring, what's holding the ball usually doesn't move. They don't take those out. They just take the ball out.
Right.
So,
But I'm just saying that, I think that's something
I
that
mean, that's
we
different.
could maybe tighten up just a little bit and put a you know, what is a mooring, and you could explicitly state, you know, that it is.
A lot of
It's
these-
not
I don't think
an
you
anchor
can.
which is attached to a boat for a temporary, you use the term temporary anchor.
Right,
You know, it's gonna be something that's left in the water or fixed to shore.
right. Well, I don't think you can legislate somebody just pulling up and throwing an anchor out and
I don't either, but I just, like I
We
said,
don't
I
have a
just,
harbor master.
everybody does it. Fine. I don't know, but yeah. It definitely needs to be tweaked here.
Absolutely.
But yeah, take the stupid stuff out.
So back to chapter 38.
yeah.
Or something that doesn't make sense. Anyway, well, we got a lot to look at.
Definitely.
Uh-huh.
So chapter 38 is gonna go to the voters in June, yes?
March.
March,
March.
okay. It's going to the special town meeting,
Yes.
okay.
Chapter 38 is going to the special town meeting. We'll have reserved sections for lighting, alternative energy, cell towers, and we'll need to adjust the Route 17 overlay again,
Mhm.
because the wording leaves a lot of gray areas, and those will go to June.
Okay. What are the dark skies? Do they actually say what they want? I mean, this woman that I called,
That's part of what I'm researching right now.
because they were more worried about what was gonna happen, and I'm like, well, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Right, and after I've done some research in that, I'll get you more
I
information.
mean, I wonder if they're talking about people putting, you know, like spotlights on their docks so they can come in at night and stuff. Is that-
I think typically what they're looking for is they want a sky that doesn't have a lot of other light in it, so you can enjoy the net, you know, see the stars and things of that nature.
It's a lot
And
of
so a person,
downlighting,
right,
avoiding reflections.
so if you have it on your dock for a time, it's different than, well, you're talking,
Well, I just.
what you're hoping to avoid is, I'll just pick on Bob for a minute, but not, you know, but if you had like several stores like that with all their fluorescents illuminating the sky, that puts in some ambient background light, which makes it very difficult to see.
The major thing, I think, is shorter downward facing streetlights. is the most, like the biggest.
They want us to change the street lights?
It'll be a process. It doesn't have to happen immediately. But that's one of
I
the,
think we looked at that several years ago and it was really expensive.
Yeah, I think we might just go. with-
And you know what? You can walk outside around in this town and see the sky any place just about. I mean, unless you're standing under the street light.
I think it's probably more along the lake is a lot of it too. I mean, you know, it's nice to be able to walk out at night and just look up.
Well, I'm just saying, compared to the rest of the world,
which is even with the, and that's what David told me today was, even with the lighting we have,
We're
we still qualify for the dark skies. We just putting the, part of being,
keeping it this way. is
keeping
really
it
what
this
it's
way,
for.
right, and part of being able to be labeled as dark sky,
Mhm.
we have to have a lighting ordinance in place that follows their
Right.
guidelines.
understand.
That's
Okay.
fun, you know. At least it's not like Telstar when that one.
Hmm.
The reason it went where it was, so because they didn't want all the interference, but now people have built up around it.
Well, one of the things I learned about this and the select and stuff, you're not gonna please everybody no matter what the heck you do. So
That's
don't
true.
try.
Right.
Do what you think is the best and go with the flow here. But yeah, well, that should be fairly easy.
So when this goes to the question that's going to the voters is, do you want to approve
The changes.
the changes to chapter, I mean, that's basically, that's the question.
That's the question that will be on the ballot.
And so people
They
have
will have-
will have to have come in to read, it's not gonna happen, I'm sorry.
We're probably,
No, I'm just,
so this is probably a question for Caleb. I believe we're gonna make this available on the website as this notated version that you have.
Yeah.
That shows everything that's been moved, everything that's been taken
Yeah.
out. And then also the fully what it will be if it's approved,
okay,
without all of this stuff, so people can easily look at it and, right, and see
great.
if there's anything that they disagree with. I think that's.
No, that's a great idea because they're not gonna come in and get
No,
dissertations of this and try to figure out what's what.
what's going on?
And it will not be this long once.
Yeah,
Go
there
ahead.
will be plenty of information to get out there to the public. We just need to make sure that if we do want this on the March ballot, that the timeline will be quite tight for it. So we just need to be mindful of that because March comes much quicker than we all think as far as public hearings and it going to, having to go in front of the boards and such.
There's some holidays in there.
Yeah,
One of the things that I was just going to say though is people will vote more on not so much looking at this, but do we think that the planning board and the town did their due diligence?
right.
So if they feel it was rushed, they're more likely to say no, whereas they feel like, oh, they had plenty of time, they're more likely to say yes, so.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to bring in March, you can't go, I'm just asking that question because.
That was so a lot of this was just rearranging and a lot of this had been researched in the past
Oh.
by Tom.
Okay,
And that's my point of putting in the lighting and the mooring and just the reserved sections. And we may even put the wording in there, reserved for June town meeting for approval. To
Oh,
allow
yeah.
for more research or something like that, so people can see that we're trying to get our due diligence for these things that do take more time.
because that's gonna be, I think, a bigger piece, if they see that, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna take and read through all this, but I trust the people we've
Well, that's the
elected,
deal.
that, yeah,
That's, 80% of the people aren't gonna read it. They're just gonna trust that the selectmen and the planning board and the code enforcement
right,
officers
it's done.
have done their job.
So we have to show them that we've done that,
Right.
and when it wasn't rushed.
So I have a question, Kayla? You still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, when do we actually have to have this so that it can be printed in the whole 9 yards?
So for March, we're doing it in-house. So I won't have, it's just a municipal. So we'll do a hand count ballot. So the timeline's not so tight. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if you would like to get it on the ballot in March, what I can do is I can work up a timeline. So it gives you a better idea of deadlines and such to see how realistic it is to get on the ballot for March, if that's something that you guys would like me to do.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Okay,
yeah,
Cause I don't,
because then we know exactly when we have to finish this.
right, you don't wanna spend a lot of time trying to get it done and then
Yeah.
not get it done.
And the fact that it's in-house will save a couple of weeks anyway.
At this point,
Yes.
the stuff in front of you is almost completely ready to go and be put in. It's already in the order that it needs to be in. We
Okay,
just need to add those few sections and adjust the numbering, add
Okay.
those reserve sections, adjust the numbering. I think there's a few more things to review with the planning board. I think Tom got about halfway through it with the planning board. We have a workshop next week before the meeting.
Okay.
So those few adjustments and any notes from the planning board will be the only things that are gonna change anything. For the most part, this
Okay.
is almost ready.
Okay, so we can familiar ourselves with this, but the planning board's gonna tweak it and then send us what they want to either remove, add, or
Yes,
change.
for the next meeting, any adjustments that I have, I will try. It's gonna be difficult, so on Friday, I'm gonna go through adjustments that the planning board has already talked to me about. I'm gonna get those drafted in, speak with Shelley with AvCog, make sure everything is good in that way, speak with
Mhm.
Kristen, get their notes. Next week with the planning board, it's gonna be difficult to get in touch with Shelley for next week and the following week, because there's a big AvCog webinar event that she is part of.
Yeah.
She's part of directing it, I don't know exactly, but she told me ahead of time, she was like, these 2 weeks is gonna be hard to get anything out of me, so that's one thing. So if I can get as much done from the planning board next week, hopefully they don't have too many adjustments, but for the next meeting, we should have most of their notes for you to review.
Cool. That'll be helpful.
And a lot of it is them just going through, seeing
Right.
the notes that Tom had put in here, that Shelley and Kristen had put in here, and deciding if they agree with them or not.
That way we can tell what's what.
Right.
Kinda.
Right.
Okay. Any new business? No. Anybody have anything else? We got?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. You guys, anybody have anything else?
No, that was all we had for you guys.
Do with this until we go through it,
right,
and, so, okay.
And if you have any questions, or the one thing in here that, the land use table, as much as I tried so hard to get it print without the comments blocking anything, the land use table is still,
it is what it is here.
yeah, I blocked out the industrial again, so if you, at least you can read all the comments this time, the comments aren't overlapping.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to know, like, the industrial ones,
We're
Yeah.
gonna
I can
figure it
get
out.
those
Kayla,
for
if you could work up a timeline and send that out to us, that would be helpful.
Yep, yes, that's in my notes to do so next week, yes.
Okay, good.
Cool.
And also, if I heard you guys speaking about the comments on that, if either one of you would like a PDF version of that document, I can send that to you. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier for you to read.
There you go. That works. Yep. Scott, you want to do that? Yeah.
I'm done, yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, thank you. That works.
Yeah.
And, yeah, don't forget Ethna.
Yes, I will send one to Ethna as well.
And also let Ethna know that she's got her binder here if she wants to
Yeah.
pick it up.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else before we get out of here?
Do we want to go ahead and stick with the same meeting schedule? Do we want to do the first and the third, or I'm sorry, the second and the fourth? How do we want to do that with the Wednesdays? Do we want to keep it the way that it is right now and schedule the next meeting?
Yeah, because that's the way it's, I don't know, I'm not speaking for everybody, but
It's fine, the only minor question about the next one is it follows,
election day.
election day, and for some of us, if we're working polls, we may be late, and so I'm not sure how.
I'm gonna have a pretty busy week that week.
Right, I'm not sure how much will get done that week, you know, maybe that's a reason for wanting to slide it a week, just that one meeting, that's the only thing I'm thinking of, because of.
Absolutely. So that next Wednesday, the 11th, is Veterans Day.
And is there a planning board meeting that day, or are they they rescheduled that.
Well, I haven't heard of a rescheduling of the planning board. I just wanted you guys to be mindful that we are closed on that. It's a holiday, so I didn't know if you just wanted to jump to the 18th and just do one on the 18th that month, or I don't really want to miss a week, but I'm not sure what you guys want to do.
Okay.
Would you guys be okay with doing a different day that same week, like a Thursday or Friday? It looks like there's no meeting scheduled for Thursday or Friday, the week of elections,
You talking about the 12th or 13th or what day?
The 5th or the 6th.
the 5th or the 6th.
Oh, the end of the week. Yep. It's up to you guys because you're the ones who are gonna be probably still counting ballots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm okay with the 12th or 13th too. I just want to try to make sure, and I don't know exactly what the timeline is, but I believe we need to go to public. Do you know if the public hearing, didn't we say November, Kayla? Or December?
Yes, so we did. What about, does the 10th work? Do we have a meeting on the 10th, Bailey? Is there a meeting on the calendar?
There's sewer, but that's during the day, isn't it?
No.
so. The 10th,
Yeah.
so our normal meeting would be the 4th and the 18th, right? Those would be the two.
Correct, yes.
So the 18th still, I think, works.
Okay, yes,
Just what we want to do with the 4th, that was the question.
right.
If we need to move it that one, that's fine.
I want to make sure that we have enough time with you as well with your notes for this.
So
We
We
could also, tentatively schedule one for earlier in the month, and if you don't have a lot of notes on this, then we can push and just cancel that and do only the 18th.
well, unless there's, something drastic, I don't think we can probably skip to the 18th. I don't.
Do we
Okay.
have another meeting besides the 4th, Kayla, between now and the 18th?
No, the 4th and then the 18th. So if we met again on the 18th, then that would be sticking to the schedule of the ordinance committee meeting.
I just had another concern about that. If I'm going to the planning board and getting their notes, we want to get you their notes to review before another meeting. So, and then have adjustments in one more meeting so you can see my adjustments for a final, I'd like to get a finalized thing on the 18th.
Okay, so that means we need the stuff. Can you send us some stuff? When do you think you'll get it from the planning board?
So I'm hoping to get most of it next week. We have a workshop, and then we'll have another workshop on the 11th.
Okay, so you want to do it after the second workshop?
Well, then the 18th would work. I just want to make sure that you guys have time to get, I can send it to you with the notes from the planning board before the 18th, so you can review it maybe over the weekend before the 18th.
That would work,
And then on the 18th, we can finalize it.
We can try that.
unless anybody else has a better plan.
No, I think that sounds like a good plan.
As long as we get it, I mean, we can read it. It doesn't have to be at a meeting.
Right.
And then we have a whole weekend or so to chew this over.
Well,
Might take a whole weekend to read it.
for some of us, that's our busy then.
Yeah. So, all right, so we'll just skip the 4th and meet the 18th,
That works.
and you will send.
Okay,
All right, that sounds good.
Okay. Anything else?
no, that's it.
We'll just have fun reading.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you, girls.
Have a great night, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Go.
Bye-bye.
You
Bye,
got
Neil.
cable?
Yes, I'll grab it for you.
Okay, not that it's a big deal. Yeah. Getting old, Donnie.
Man, tell me about it.